What's up? I'm Jamar Armstrong, social media specialist and owner of Strong Persona Media, Hospital for Humanity, and the main one, Trap Dragon Z. And I'm making this piece of content today for anybody that wants to get started making content and don't really know how. I've been doing it for about 3 or 4 years. Started in 2018, so whatever the math is on that, because I'm not great at math, but I am good at creating content, and that's what I want to talk about today. So today I'll give you 5 ways on how you can do that, because I don't want to give a corny, 5 ways to do this. But I really do think that this process can be broken down into 5 simple ways how to do it, and the hard part is just doing it. So the first part is to actually pick the type of content that you want to make, and whether you dance, whether you make art, whether you lift weights and you like doing fitness, there's a niche for everybody, anybody. Even if you sit back and you like, well, I don't do any of that stuff. I really just sit at home and watch Netflix and I talk about it. That's content right there. You can make a piece of content called couch potato, right? And all you do is you watch something on Netflix and then you talk about what you just watched. It don't have to be Netflix or anything like that, but you understand that you want to pick something that you would naturally be doing even if you weren't getting paid, because that is going to be the core piece of creating content that you'll need, because there's going to be times where you feel like, I'm doing this for too long and I don't see the result, or I'm doing this so long and I don't have the amount of followers that I really want. When you're doing something that you would have been doing regardless of pay, it'll make it much easier to get through that whole do this, do this, do this, do this process. So definitely, I would say that the first thing that you want to do is figure out what you like to do naturally without getting paid, that you would have been doing anyway, so that if you aren't getting those immediate results that you're looking for, that it'll still be fun because you doing something that you like doing. And this goes for people who not just trying to make content for the sake of content, but it also goes for people who are starting a business. Like, start a business around something that you like doing, and then use this as the place to put that content out. So step one is finding a piece of content that you want to create, finding the thing that you want to create content around. Secondly is actually putting the content out there. It's so many times I'll be hanging out with a friend or family who got like this great idea, and it never sees the light of day because you knew that this is what you wanted to make content around. You didn't told everybody, this is what I'm gonna do one day. This is what I'm gonna do. This is my 5-year plan. But every day there's nothing that you actually put out surrounding this content. And I think that you're doing yourself a huge disservice, because you got this great idea that's just stuck with no action behind it. So once you figure out what it is that you want to do, put it out there. And the best way to put it out there is to pick one piece of content that you're going to make it around. So if you are, let's go back to that couch potato example. Let's take that and say, okay, I watch Netflix every day and I talk about what I watched on the phone. What's the best way to do that? What's the best way to make some content around that? Well, you can make it one of 3 ways. You can either do it on video like this, you can do it on audio. So let's say you're not comfortable behind the camera or in front of it. You make that piece of content that's audio based. So like a podcast where you just watched it, but now you're about to record it on your device or however. I use Anchor for podcasts because you can just use your phone and it's easy. It's set up for pay. And no, this is not a paid sponsorship. It's just the easiest way to do that if you want to do a podcast. It handles the distribution. I'll get more into that on a different video. Or you can type, writing it down with words. So let's say you're not good on camera. Let's say you don't like the sound of your voice. Then write, because those are the three ways that you can create this, but you gotta create some content and create one long form piece of content for that. So your first step is to figure out what you want to do, and your second step is creating content around it and actually putting it out. And I would say do that in one of three ways: video like this, audio like a podcast, or do it written down like a blog where you just typing out your review of what you saw and putting it in blog form, word form. So that's gonna be step two. Step three is putting it out right. A lot of people will actually will figure out the content, they make it and they put it out there, but they not putting it out the right way. And this is the part where it starts seeming like it's more work than it's worth, because you're like, okay, I made it, okay, I put it out, but now I got to put it out right. Putting it out right is easier or more simple than you would think. Putting it out right is, if you made a long video, then put that whole video on YouTube. If you putting it out on Facebook, you can still put that whole video out. It might do better if it was a shorter video, but you can put that whole video out on Facebook. On Twitter, if it's a 10-minute video, you're not getting 10 minutes of the video on Twitter. So you need to go ahead and only put a minute on there. Or if it's Instagram, you want to put it on IGTV, you can put that whole video. Like I'm doing this video, this whole video can be on IGTV. But if I want to put it in a reel or a post, I'm going to have to skimp that down to like a minute or 15 seconds or something like that. But just put it out there right. If it's on a story, if it's on Snapchat, you want to skimp it down even more. But put your content out and put it out the right way. And the best way you can figure that out is actually making content, putting it out and testing the water. Going like, okay, that video was a little long, or shorter videos did better for me. But the only way that you're going to get that far is by actually creating it, putting it out there, and trying to put it out there right. I would say the fourth thing to do once you're putting out content and you putting it out in the right places, and in my opinion, everywhere is the right place. As many places as you can get it is the right place. But you're going to have your platforms that work better for you than other places. And if you can't get it out to everywhere, then focus on a place that is working the most for you. For me, it's Instagram. Instagram works the best out of every other place that I put it. So for me, that'll be the one I focus on if I can't get it out every place that day. But once you come up with like a system, you'll be able to handle this. But the fourth thing that I would say is to engage after you're putting that content out there, because that is going to be the deciding factor between you posting and forgetting about it and not seeing that type of traffic that you're looking for, and then posting and actually seeing engagement on a post. And by engagement, it's just a new word for networking, pretty much, give or take some details. But when I get a post and people start commenting, immediately start talking back to them. Like, what did you put the content out there for if you didn't want to talk to the people who thought your content was interesting enough to actually comment on it? Even if it's something as simple as like, thanks for commenting. At least you creating that relationship between you and a potential follower, because that's what you're trying to do. Like, aside from being an authentic person who giving value to the world with your content, you're trying to convince people to follow you, to watch more of your content. And the best way to do that is to interact with someone who showed interest. So if you're going to figure out the content, and I'm gonna keep going over the steps so that you like don't forget, because for me it's simple, but for you, you might not remember it. So make the content, figure out the content, create a piece of content around it, distribute it. And once it's distributed, engage with the people who are engaging. Now, I know someone is going to say, but what if somebody don't comment? Then that means that you need to, outside of your own content, go to other people's content that's similar to yours or what you want yours to be like, and talk to them, comment on their videos, comment on stuff that's related to what you want to be doing. because then they'll see your comments and be like, let me go check this person out. And then your content is what they already like. So if you're not seeing that engagement, then go out and make it. You're trying to convince people to watch your content. And once they get there and it's valuable content, actually, people gonna watch it anyway. And the last part is consistency. You need to stay consistent with the content. Consistency has got to be one of the most corny ones that I hear that is the most effective, because no one wants to stay consistent. Now, I ain't gonna say no one, but a lot of people don't want to stay consistent with their content because it's hard to keep putting something out that you not seeing the views, you not seeing the type of traffic that you want, and thinking, is this gonna work one day? Am I ever gonna see the fruits of my labor? And that's why the first one is so important, because if you're making a content that you like to be making, that you pretty much would have done regardless of pay or following, then you didn't waste any time because you was doing something you was gonna be doing anyway. So that's why that first step is so important, is to stay consistent with when you're posting, how often you posting, and just being consistent with what you committed to doing. So just going over and reviewing is figure out the piece of content that you want to be making. Make one piece of content, long form content around that in video, audio, or written form. So if you're going to make a podcast, make a podcast. If you're going to do weekly videos like this, or if you're going to make a blog and write every day, just create one piece of content around that thing that you picked and go from there. If you want to add on different things like memes or tweets or quotes, that can come along the road, but just pick one. 3, distribute it properly. Make sure that you're putting it out to as many popular platforms as possible, and that you're doing it the right way. And the right way is different from person to person, but there's your general rules of, posting when you think the most people are going to be online, or going ahead and posting to the most popular. And then if you can't post everywhere, post to the one that's working the best for you. 4th is going to be making sure that you engage with people who are interested in your content, because that's the only way that you going to start to see that real traffic, that real volume of following and other things that you're looking for. And last but not least, stay consistent. If you don't stay consistent, if you post one day, because let me just comment on what consistency is. It's daily or weekly, whatever you set for yourself. If you say, I'm going to post one video a week, make sure you do that. Will you see more traffic if you post it daily? Yes. But just like with working out, if it takes you posting once a week to get to that point of daily, then create that process for you. But at least commit to something and stay consistent with it. If you go to the link in the bio or the link in the description, I will give you a free social media review after you made your stuff. Because if you haven't made anything, you just want the review, it's nothing for me to review. But I'll review the content that you have out there and let you know what I think would help you do a little better on social media. So hopefully you found some value from this video. Hopefully this helps you to get started if you weren't already started, or it refreshed your process if you already got some stuff out there. So once again, I'm Jamar Armstrong. Make sure you follow Strong Persona Media. I put videos out like this weekly and micro content out daily. So hopefully it helps you and you have a good day. Peace.